Welcome to the 700 Club. Let's go over to the CBN News desk for today's top stories.
Gordon, more concerns Iran may try to restart its nuclear program. Those coming amid new confirmation of the devastation of the U.S. strikes against Iran's nuclear sites. Julie Stahl has the story now from Jerusalem.
The Pentagon is backing President Trump's assertion that U.S. and Israeli strikes obliterated Iran's major nuclear sites, severely pushing back their nuclear ambitions.
All of the intelligence that we've seen have led us to believe that those facilities especially have been completely obliterated. I think we're thinking probably closer to 2 years, like degraded their program by 2 years.
But Iran may soon try to secretly return to building nuclear weapons, as the regime's president signed off on suspending their cooperation with the United Nations nuclear watchdog, the International Atomic Energy Agency. The Iranian regime faces both President Trump's and Israel's threats that bombing will resume if Iran returns to the path of developing nuclear weapons. Trump is also warning Hamas, saying conditions will get worse for the terrorist group in Gaza unless it agrees to a new ceasefire deal that Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has already agreed to. The deal would lead to a 60-day ceasefire with a U.S.-backed guarantee of talks on permanently ending the war and Hamas freeing 10 of the 20 surviving hostages and a number of the bodies. Hostage Alon Ohel's mother is reminding the world how much they're suffering.
Alon has been in the tunnels, 40 meters under the ground, for more than 630 days.
And many in Gaza desperately want this proposed ceasefire.
We have gotten exhausted, suffered from hunger, strikes, destruction.
But there are sticking points. Hamas demands to stay in power and keep its weapons. Israel insists the terror group be disarmed and leave Gaza.
I'm telling you, there will be no Hamas. There will be no Hamastan. We're not going back to that.
And today, an example of the progress made in freeing the hostages, as former Israeli-American captive Idan Alexander, just recently set free, visits President Trump in the White House. Julie Stahl, CBN News, Jerusalem.
The president's big, beautiful bill is on its way to becoming law. Members of Congress up all night debating the tax breaks and spending cuts measure, as GOP leaders and the president himself work to persuade skeptical holdouts to drop their opposition and deliver it to the White House by the 4th of July deadline. The bill extends the tax cuts from the president's first term. In Idaho Wednesday, Bryan Kohberger openly confessed in court to the murder of 4 college students. Lori Johnson has this story.
Are you pleading guilty because you are guilty?
Yes.
An emotionless Bryan Kohberger admitted in a Boise courtroom to stabbing to death 4 Idaho college students nearly 3 years ago, one by one admitting he murdered them as their loved ones wept and Kohberger's father shook his head in disbelief.
Did you, on November 13th, 2022, in Latah County, state of Idaho, kill and murder Madison Mogan, a human being?
Yes.
Kaylee Gonzalez, a human being?
Yes.
Xana Kernodle, a human being?
Yes.
Ethan Chapin, a human being?
Yes.
Until now, Kohberger maintained his innocence. His trial was to begin next month. Prosecutors were seeking the death penalty. But just 3 days ago, a sudden controversial plea deal. Kohberger's confession in exchange for 4 life sentences. At least one of the victims' parents say they were not consulted about the plea deal and don't like it.
You don't think 4 life sentences is justice?
Yeah, of course, that's daycare. Prison is daycare, people.
But the parents of at least 2 other victims approve of the plea deal.
We turn from darkness and uncertainty of the legal process to the light of the future. We have closure.
The agreement means there will be no trial and no appeals. Kohberger will apparently not be required to say why he committed the crimes and what he did with the murder weapon. The 30-year-old will be sentenced on July 23rd, at which time the victims' families can tell him directly how his murderous rampage impacted them. Lori Johnson, CBN News.
Turning now to Ukraine, where 50,000 Russian troops have moved close to the key city of Sumy. As CBN's John Jessup shows us, some Christians in that area have remarkable stories of survival from dangerous attacks.
This is my grandfather's youngest grandson.
Like any grandfather, Pastor Mykola beams when talking about his grandchildren. For his oldest, Daniela, the feeling's mutual.
You must be very proud.
Yeah.
The two are all smiles during a recent visit to Washington, D.C., a far cry from a few weeks ago when Ukraine's 3-year war came incredibly close to claiming the pastor's life.
Tell me what it was like for you in April on Palm Sunday.
The weather was not very sunny, but at the same time, there are no signs of something bad coming or something that would disturb my soul.
Pastor Mykola, who knew from childhood he wanted to follow God's call, was in the middle of his sermon when all of a sudden, an explosion literally rocked his church. Through an interpreter, Pastor Mykola said his only focus was keeping everyone calm.
Did you see in the faces of your congregants fear? Did you see panic? Did people immediately start praying?
Some people were completely afraid. Some people were trying to stay calm.
Moments later, a second explosion shattered windows. That's when he ordered everyone to take cover in the church basement. Outside, chaos reigned in the streets of Sumy in northeast Ukraine, where 2 Russian ballistic missiles killed 35 people at the start of Holy Week, including this family of 3 on their way to a Palm Sunday service. Pastor Mykola marvels that only 2 people in his building were slightly hurt, considering one of the missiles struck just 100 meters from his Light of the Gospel church. This video shows the extent of the damage. While waiting for the all clear, his congregation did what it knows best.
First singing, praying. They were thanking God for being alive.
The following Sunday, they opened the church for worship and celebrated the resurrection with a renewed appreciation for life. Pastor Mykola is in the United States visiting his family and sharing his story, saying the only path to peace is by turning to God. We should note that the same day we sat down for this interview, his hometown was hit again by Moscow in retaliation for Ukrainian drone strike targeting Russian military bases and bombers. While he's still hopeful, it serves as a reminder that this chapter of the story is far from over. John Jessup, CBN News, Washington.
Here at home, it's one of the world's toughest endurance challenges in the 3,000-mile race across America. Cyclists race coast to coast across 3 mountain ranges for a cause. As Brody Carter reports, one team was riding to rescue children trapped in human trafficking.
The race across America is one of the most grueling athletic challenges in the world. A nonstop transcontinental relay race stretching from Oceanside, California to Atlantic City, New Jersey. Each team can choose a cause to support and then raise money through sponsors, donors, and individual donations. Zoe International's choice is racing to fight child trafficking and bring hope to vulnerable children.
Most people think human trafficking is a developing nation thing, and it's here in the United States as well. So we just wanted to create an awareness project for this.
Founded in 2002, Zoe International operates in 5 countries, including the U.S., focused on preventing child trafficking, rescuing victims, and supporting long-term healing.
That's your relief coming, buddy. That's your relief coming.
Team Zoe's cycling effort began in 2018 as a small initiative to support the larger organization. Led by former detective Brad Ortenzi and his wife, both missionaries with Zoe International, the team has raced coast to coast 3 times, raising $500,000 in 2023 alone. Their mission: rescue, restore, and raise awareness.
The guys from their wrist to their elbow write the name of this girl on their elbow, and that's because in that cycling position, that name is still within your eyesight, and many times you just put your head down and you see that name, and that brings you back to the why.
8 cyclists and an extended support crew pushed across 12 states to raise money and awareness for children trapped in human trafficking. Among them is Detective Kevin Quinter.
It's not traditionally what you think. It's not someone being kidnapped in a white van and being held chained to a room. It's not. It's very in depth of how psychologically they break people down with trauma.
Quinter spent years conducting undercover operations targeting child predators. He says his faith and the mission is what keeps him riding.
We get to ride across the beautiful country and see amazing sights and get to raise awareness and rescue kids, hopefully based on our funds. That's pretty lucky to do that, but it's not about us. And I think that's what's so cool about this group of people, you know, selfless people that I've came in contact with.
Zoe's team, including professionals, missionaries, and businessmen like Pennsylvania Bank President Tom Jordan.
There's a spiritual side to this that, you know, Satan is working against us. He's cheering against us. He's trying to put obstacles up. So there's an emotional and spiritual side that, I don't know if it does create some adversity or just challenge, because you're weakening your mind when you're deprived of sleep, or you're deprived or not deprived physically, but physically exhausted.
Zoe International, 6 days, 2 hours, 21 minutes. Great job.
This was the team's 4th year pushing through desert sandstorms and beautiful mountain terrain while pulling sleepless nights, pursuing transformation over a trophy, riding for children they may never meet, but whose lives could be changed forever.
No matter what situation we're in, whether we're believers or those that don't know Jesus yet, or these kids or women that are entrapped in human trafficking, that there is a Savior that is just would do anything to rescue them and then to love on them.
Brody Carter, CBN News.
Team Zoe crossed the finish line first on Friday, and they're still raising awareness to fight child trafficking, with more than 80% of their $750,000 goal already met.